Hello, California, and welcome to this week's edition of Your Financial Compass, the show dedicated to helping you successfully navigate to and through your retirement. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and joining me in the studio are two financial advisors from Bulman Wealth Group. We have Scott Villan and Sean McAmoyle. The title of today's show is How to Remove Your Wealth from Washington. If you're uncertain about what your potential tax liability might be in retirement and want to take proactive steps to lower it even now, you're not going to want to miss today's show. Scott, Sean, great to be here with both of you.
Very good to be here. So, Sean and I were having dinner with Chris Bulman and some other colleagues last night, and Sean was in the military, and him and another gentleman sharing some war stories per se, and then Sean told this story, and we're like, I'm very rarely surprised by things. Our jaw's on the ground. Then at the end, he's like, I was just kidding. So, I can't say what it was.
It was a scene from a movie.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was from a movie.
So you were painting the picture as if you were there.
Yeah. But he did really well. So
right.
don't believe anything he says today.
No.
He's just going to be rambling stuff he saw in the movie.
Oh, well, we like to have a lot of fun on this show. And at the end of the day, this show is about you and making sure that you have everything you need to have a successful retirement. That's what Your Financial Compass is all about. And today we're going to be talking about how to remove your wealth from Washington. The reality is no one likes paying taxes, and it almost feels like we are taxed to death on every single thing. But the good news is there's actually a lot of different types of income that the IRS cannot touch. So that's what we are going to be talking about as we go on throughout today's show. But as we get it kicked off, I would love for you to first answer the question, why is it so critical for folks to pay attention to their potential tax liability and their future tax bill in retirement?
Yeah. Well, no one likes taxes other than Sean. We all hate him except for him. He loves paying them. So you look at the tax rates now, and they seem high. Strangely enough, they are historically low. Where we've seen they were in the late 40s or in the mid 90% range. Thankfully, let's hope we don't go back to that. But the point is, they're historically low. And we look at the national debt, and we look at all these things in the economy, and I think, and most people would agree, is over time they're going to increase. The tax rates have to increase. And the current tax structure as it's set up now sunsets or ends at the end of 2025. Maybe it'll be extended, maybe it won't, but we're trying to plan a retirement of generally 20, 30, 40 years.
Right.
They are going to go up over that time. So I'd rather find out these things now and start being proactive.
Yep.
And that's how we want to talk with folks that we're having conversations with, as opposed to reacting. Because a lot of times with taxes, we just react and we hope for the best, we get a return, or we don't owe as much. But if there's things to be done ahead of time, absolutely you need to start considering them, because taxes are going to go up.
Yes, and I think so many folks have the attitude of, oh gosh, I guess that's just the way it is. Taxes are something that happened to me. There's something I can do about it. But no, the reality is there's actually lots of strategies that you can be proactive about and engage in some strategic tax planning. So that would be my next question. You all are not CPAs, but there's a huge difference between tax preparation, which is what a CPA does, and strategic tax planning, which you and the team of Bulman Wealth Group engage in. So can you explain a little bit about that difference?
Sure. So left to their own devices, so many people make decisions based on taxes alone. And when they do that in a vacuum, the outcome is usually not as good as if they made some more strategic decisions. We coordinate very closely with client CPAs or tax preparers, especially towards the end of the year. It's important that our clients feel like they have a team working on their behalf. But when you look at the work that we do at Bulman Wealth Group for our clients that are in the tax world, there's so many tools in the toolbox that we have. It can be helping clients understand how much should we have in tax deferred investments, how much should they have in tax free investments, when is the right time to make a conversion from a traditional IRA or 401k to a Roth, which I know we'll talk about. Capital gains tax rates are significantly lower than ordinary income tax rates. So how do you maximize capital gains over ordinary income? There are tax-free investments we may touch on as well today. Qualified dividends pay a lower tax rate than normal dividends. And then tax loss harvesting towards the end of the year. That's just a sample of some of the areas that we work with our clients when we design portfolios and manage portfolios to lower their tax bill.
Well, I'm excited to dive into this extensive list because I think folks are going to be encouraged about all the different ways that they can remove your wealth from Washington. But before we get to that, we have a very special resource that we want to highlight for you. We're going to put it up here on the screen for you. It's a retirement tax bill calculator. And the site to visit is bulmantaxbill.com. So why don't you walk us through what our viewers can expect when they visit this awesome site?
I think they're going to expect shock and horror at first when they see the numbers, but know that there is a
solution.
A solution.
Yes,
That's
we're not going to leave you
Yeah,
hanging
we're not
there,
going to leave you hanging. I think it really begins to resonate the impact of taxes, and especially lifetime taxes. So it's just one of those things where if you're just really starting to consider this, say you're a few years from retirement, a few months, and you're like, gosh, I've got all this money in my 401k. It's never been taxed. I'm concerned taxes are going up. You can start by going to the website below and take the quiz. It just takes a few minutes, but it's going to push out some numbers that will be eye-opening. But again, it will start to identify potential solutions, things to consider. But it's a nice place to start. And maybe that leads you into wanting to set up a conversation, but it's a really interesting tool because everyone that is going to retire, as we see, at least folks we've talked with, are concerned about taxes and increasing taxes. And this is a good place to start if you're really beginning that journey.
For sure. So if you visit the site, bulmantaxbill.com, or you can just click on that QR code right there, it'll take you to a landing page that asks you a few simple questions. It's going to ask for your name, for your age, your email address so that the report can be emailed to you. Again, this is completely complimentary to you. It's going to ask you how much money you have saved up in tax-deferred accounts. Maybe it's a traditional 401k, 403b, traditional IRA that you have. It's also going to then ask you about your current tax bracket, and there's a slider so you can actually adjust, and maybe you think you'll be in a different tax bracket in the future, so you can play and adjust with that. It's also going to ask you what expected rate of return you think that you will get with that pot of tax-deferred money. So that's all you're going to put in. You'll click submit, and then boom, side by side, you're going to be able to see the comparison between what the government's current tax plan is for you if you were to do nothing versus how much you might be able to save in taxes if you enact some of these tax saving strategies that we're going to be talking about today. And once you see that side by side comparison, like you said, there's some shock, there's some horror, right? I know a lot of people's jaws hit the floor. But the good news is you know where you're starting from, you know that there's a plan in place, and you can't unsee that once you see it side by side. Because if you don't have your own strategic tax plan, guess what? The government has one for you, and it's in their best interest, not yours. And I know before the show, Sean, you were sharing about how you recently went through this process with someone. Talk about that.
Well, to your point, I think most people think that their biggest expense in retirement is going to be health care or perhaps fun travel and things like that. What they will see when they do this tax bill calculator is what's going to be their biggest expense in retirement. So I ran an example for someone. She's 55 years old. She has $600,000 in a traditional IRA. We made some basic assumptions that over the course of the next 30 years, she's going to average perhaps 7%. She was in the 28% combined tax bracket. The results of the quiz of the tax bill site that we have is that in her lifetime she's going to pay $2.3 million in state and federal taxes on that $600,000.
That is just, I mean, I know this myself, and even just hearing that again, $2.3 million of taxes on $600,000 of tax deferred money. It's insane.
So what if you have double that? What if you if you're about to retire, you have 1.2 million? I mean, golly.
So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but yes.
Well, I can share either now or after a break if we did a Roth conversion, what the tax bill would be.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Drum roll.
Yep.
Her tax bill would be $168,000. The comparison between doing a Roth conversion on that $600,000, paying the taxes now, $168,000, versus letting it stay in a tax-deferred account and paying $2.3 million in taxes during. That's just one account that she has.
That's amazing. And you hear $168,000. That's a tax bill. I mean, no one ever likes to pay taxes, but I sure like that option a whole lot better than $2.3 million, right? I mean, what was her reaction when you showed her this?
I mean, she just stared at it for a while and just could not. And we had to go break in and do the financial plan, because the plan will actually project out that we do.
Right.
Show each age at 73, 75, how much in RMDs, required minimum distribution, she's going to have to take out. And then you can really see, we can actually show each year of their life how much in withdrawals they have to take, how much in taxes they have to pay. And it comes out to $2.3 million.
Amazing. And I think that's the issue, is a lot of folks aren't aware of those required minimum distributions that are going to hit everyone at currently age 73. And for those of us who are younger, it's projected to be age 75. But the tax man is coming. And so what a blessing if you can get in front of it even now. So what would you say to someone who's already gone to BulmanTaxBill.com over the last few minutes and now their jaw's on the floor?
Well, if their jaw's on the floor, take a second, have a swig of water or something stronger. And call, well, there's a number you can call, as you see right here. You can scan the QR code and begin to make sense of it, or allow us to begin to explain it to you to make sense of it. As Sean said, the bad news is, wow, that's a large tax bill. The good news is, in many instances, there are things to ponder or consider, solutions to have, and that's where a conversation can begin. Maybe that was something you were worried about, and now that it is, amongst other financial things. So these are all things that we can talk about, things we can shed some light on, but it first starts with calling the number, scanning the QR code, and then having a conversation.
Yes, and the sooner you start, the easier it's going to be,
right.
right? So we encourage you to reach out. We know that this might be new information to you. We know that you might have gone to that site and all of a sudden you're going, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize I had such a large looming tax bill for my retirement. The team of Bulman Wealth Group is here to help and serve you. So for no cost, no charge, no obligation, we invite you to call the number on the bottom of your screen to schedule your very own complimentary financial compass review. 888-970-4685. Or if you'd rather connect online, if you simply pull out your smartphone, you can open up that camera app, just point, click, and scan that QR code that you see there down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. That will take you over to a landing page, ask you a few short, simple questions, and then a member of the team from Bulman Wealth Group will reach out to connect with you to schedule your complimentary meeting that way as well. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to dive more deeply into some of these strategies to help you remove your wealth from Washington right after this.
I became a financial advisor coming out of the tough times of the tech bubble in the late 90s, early 2000s. Moved to California, uprooted my life, changed everything, and then 9/11 happened the first week in this industry. I was prepared already to help people from tough times coming out of the tech bubble, but what we didn't expect is there were 3 years in a row when I started of the market dropping. That really impacted my whole career. It crafted and created how we manage money. We don't want our clients to ever lose like that, and so everything we do is built on protection. The goal of our practice and the people that we meet with is to remove the fear and uncertainty that we all face, and it goes back to those first years in the market.
I was a sportscaster on television. I grew up in Flint, Michigan. In TV, you bounce around, and went to Mississippi and worked at the NBC station there and covered, college football's big, NFL's big, all that stuff. And a guy I knew relatively well in a different state decided to get out of TV, and in this opportunity I always enjoyed finance and money, and it seemed really exciting. I like to communicate to folks and feel like I can communicate well. It was such a fresh, kind of different career than what I was used to that it was exciting.
We go into every meeting with no place to get. We're there to meet with you, to discover your needs, find out where you are at that point, and how we can help you build and craft that plan for the future.
Welcome back to Your Financial Compass, where today we are discussing how to remove your wealth from Washington. If you're just tuning in and joining us, we've been talking about the importance of paying attention to your potential tax bill in retirement, and we shared a very powerful resource that we're going to put up here on the screen again for you to use. This is completely complimentary. It's the Retirement Tax Bill Calculator. So if you go to BulmanTaxBill.com, or you can click on that QR code, it will take you over. And why don't you remember remind our viewers, you shared a very powerful story of someone you walked through this retirement tax bill calculator process with. Just remind our viewers what that did for them.
So we ran an example for a client who was 55 years old. She had a $600,000 traditional IRA. We made some basic assumptions that for the next 30 years, 35 years, that would grow at around 7%.
Per year, right?
Per year. She was in, which is normal kind of equity type returns.
Yeah.
We figured she was would be in the 28% combined tax rate, and we did the calculation and discovered that in her lifetime, if she kept it in the traditional IRA, she would pay $2.3 million in taxes in her lifetime. If she did a Roth conversion, that tax bill would be reduced to $168,000.
Only. I mean, that's like, but only between 2.3 million and 168,000. That is a huge difference.
Yeah. And it's one of those things, sometimes you don't know it's a problem until you're shown that it's a problem, and you have to see the numbers up there, as Sean said. And one thing to remind people about a Roth conversion, as we were discussing, is it very rarely are you going to convert it all at once? Meaning, in this instance, she had $600,000 of money in an IRA. You don't convert it all at once.
Right. She wasn't going to pay that $168,000 all at the same time, right?
No. That would be, then you're hopping tax brackets paying even more. Just, some of it depends on the age, but really the timeline we're looking at is where the RMD starts, the required minimum distribution, say it's age 73. Say, let's give an instance, say someone's retiring at 63. We look at it as that we've got a 10-year window to start systematically trimming that IRA down or 401k
moving
down,
that money over.
moving it over.
Right.
And that's really, so just for anyone hearing, I don't want to rip the total Band-Aid off, we just do it in slices, in most instances. Depending on how tax rates change over time, maybe we convert it in a shorter time frame, but the point is, take the quiz, scare yourself, then take a deep breath, and if that prompts you to call, well, that's a pretty good reason.
Well, and this is what you do, is you help people figure out the most tax-efficient way to do this conversion and to help them pay less to the IRS, right?
Right. Well, it all starts with the financial plan that we build for our clients. Part of that plan is understanding how much in assets do you have in tax-deferred, tax-free investment vehicles. We look at other things that are going on in the portfolio in their life. It could even have to do with real estate. Perhaps they sold a piece of real estate or had a tax loss in another part of their financial life. We're able to then advise them that now may be a time to start doing some Roth conversions, because we can actually lower that tax bill, that $168,000 tax bill, as Scott said, and by either stretching it out or doing it at a very strategic, opportune times, because there's something else happening in their financial life and we can actually reduce those taxes.
So you mentioned, again, it depends on how old someone is, how close they are to retirement. If someone's already 70 years old, does it still behoove them to look at these strategies?
I think so. I mean, you have a shorter time frame. If we're trying to do conversions leading up to RMDs, or you could. Here's the thing, too, though: an RMD can't be transferred into a Roth IRA. That can't be the conversion. So, say someone's RMD was $30,000. Well, that $30,000 can't be moved into a Roth. They could do extra on top of that to convert into, but just something to be walk away with. But as Sean said, maybe there's other tax strategies to be used for that 70-year-old. If maybe they inherited money, sold a property, all these different things have tax loss harvesting to do. So maybe it's not a one-size-fits-all, and sometimes it depends on the situation, the person, but generally want to at least entertain the different options to see what could you potentially take advantage of.
Right.
If someone's in their 70s and they're wondering, does it make sense, they should go to our tax bill calculator and see the numbers. Will immediately tell them whether they should be considering that and consulting with us.
Yeah, so again, that site to visit is there for you on the bottom of the screen, BulmanTaxBill.com. That will take you directly to the retirement tax bill calculator. Again, this is completely complimentary. This is a resource that used to only be available to clients of Bulman Wealth. We are extending it to you, our viewers, because we know how important and valuable it is to have this information at your fingertips. So you'll put in some basic information and instantly you'll be able to see side by side what the government's current tax plan is for you versus how much you could potentially save if you enact some of these tax saving strategies. So we invite you to visit that site, click that QR code to get there. Now, once you see your own numbers, no doubt you're going to want to reach out to the team of Bulman Wealth Group to receive your very own complimentary financial compass review. They can walk you through what your numbers mean for you and what strategies you can even begin putting into place today to help you potentially lower your tax bill in retirement. 888-970-4685 is that number to call. Or again, you're welcome to scan that QR code and that will get you connected to schedule your complimentary appointment that way as well. We'll be back with more right after this.
The team at Bulman Wealth Group is exceptional, from our advisor team to our service team, which is, I think, second to none. But it all revolves around the idea that our clients are vitally important.
One of the ways I feel like we differentiate ourselves is we want a relationship with our clients. And, I really learned that from Chris, is there's so many dollars and cents and all this information to know, but at the end of the day, it's got to be a trust and a like, because we're partnering with somebody. So I want them to think a trip to see me is not a trip to the DMV or to the dentist, but it's just being able to share in the good times and be available to be a resource in the bad times too.
Our clients are our friends. I really view them as part of our family because we go through some pretty significant life events. So it's really being a partner with our clients through all those life events and through the life journey.
Have you considered refinancing your retirement? When interest rates are low, you might be able to refinance your homes, your car loans, and even your credit card rates, because it could help you keep more of your own money each month. But what happens when interest rates go up? It may make sense to refinance your retirement. Higher interest rates could provide income opportunities that you may not be aware of. What works for your portfolio during low interest rates may not work for you in a high interest rate environment. So don't look down at today's higher interest rates. Instead, find out if a retirement refi could work better for you. Call the number you see here or scan the QR code below to schedule your complimentary Refi Your Retirement review today.
Welcome back to Your Financial Compass, where today we are discussing how to remove your wealth from Washington. The reality is that it's so important to have a strategic tax plan in place for yourself, because if you don't have your own, the government has one for you, and it is in their best interest, not in your own. We want you to pay less to the IRS. We don't want you to have to pay any more than you are legally required to pay. Again, we're not talking about tax evasion here.
We are talking about offshore accounts where Sean is. No. I wasn't wanting to go there, but he's got lots of accounts in the Bahamas.
But the point is, a lot of folks aren't aware that there are strategies, there are things that can be done. So I know we've already shared this awesome tax bill calculator. We'll put that up on the screen for you again. If you're just tuning in and joining us, you can actually go to this site, BulmanTaxBill.com, see what your potential tax bill might be in retirement. It's completely complimentary to use. But we've talked about Roth conversions. Let's talk about financial gifting, because that's another huge way that folks are able to lower their tax bill.
Absolutely. And I think there's some misconceptions with it, because everyone looks at the annual kind of cap of $18,000, which means you could give $18,000 to anyone you wanted. Sean, take note, because I've got a large Christmas list. So say a husband and wife wants to gift their daughter-in-law and son, they could each give $18,000, so that $18,000 could be given 4 times.
Right.
Here's the thing, though. You can give more in a given year. You can give $1 million. There's a lifetime exclusion amount as of right now is $13.6 million per person. So you can give a larger amount. You just have to keep track of it. There's a certain tax form you need to fill out, and for some reason I don't recall what it is. But you can give more. Say someone wants to buy a house, a child, or a charity or something along those lines. You can give more as long as you keep track of something that's over $18,000, because it goes towards that lifetime exclusion limit of $13.6 million. Another thing to ponder is what's called a QCD is the acronym, Qualified Charitable Distribution or Donation. And we've seen this before where say you've got a lot of clients we have don't need their RMDs. They don't need that money that they have to take out of their IRA. So you can actually set it up with check writing privileges from your IRA and say you have $50,000 in RMDs that you have to take that year. You can write a check to a charity as long as it's a legit charity. And it doesn't count against your tax bill. I think the annual exclusion is $105,000.
Right.
It's a lot.
It is.
So, and that's that much money you don't have to pay taxes on, and you're doing a good thing by giving to a charity. So there's all these little nuanced things that don't get talked about a lot that we've seen and seen used. So maybe that makes sense in your situation.
Well, and it's important to note that for those qualified charitable distributions, you can start doing those as early as age 70 and a half. So maybe it might not make sense to do a Roth conversion in your situation at that age, but you can enact these QCDs, and that right there is going to help you lower your tax liability, right?
We've seen clients come to us before we started working with them, and they were taking RMDs, paying ordinary income taxes on those distributions, and making charitable donations throughout the year. They didn't know, as Scott mentioned, that they can have money go right from their IRA to the charity. Doesn't count as ordinary income, as it would if they took possession of that in the first place. So it's really an underused and appreciated
well, and it's a win-win for the charity because they get the full amount, and then you, as the person giving the money, get the full tax break, if you will. So
the only loser is the IRS, and I don't mind seeing them lose.
Well, that's why we're calling the show "How to Remove Your Wealth from Washington," right? Any other strategies come to mind that you want to make sure our viewers are aware of?
I think just the biggest thing is to know that there are strategies that aren't talked about all the time. And these are things that we enact and look into, and what might be right in one situation, it might not be right in yours, or vice versa. So it's just understanding that taxes aren't going away, they're only going up. What can we do about it? We want to be proactive. And as you said at the beginning of the show, a lot of times we just react. I'm going to owe, or I get a little back. Well, it is what it is. The common phrase, it doesn't have to be that way. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and these are things that we look into. And if this is you, which probably is, you're probably concerned about taxes, call the number below, scan the QR code. Maybe taxes isn't a concern, even though it should be. Maybe market risk or running out of money. This isn't the only thing we do. It's a big thing, and it's a big concern for everyone. But it all starts with you calling, entering the QR code, taking the tax quiz, and setting up a time to talk.
Wonderful. Well, Scott, Sean, thank you so much. I'm excited for more folks to connect with you as a result of today's show. And again, we invite you to visit that retirement tax bill calculator by going to BulmanTaxBill.com. Once you see the numbers for yourself, you're definitely going to want to call to get your complimentary financial compass review. 888-970-4685 is that number to call, or you're welcome to scan that QR code, and that will get you connected as well. Be safe, be happy, be blessed, and we look forward to being back with you next time here on Your Financial Compass.